Okie dokie, perfect. So we are now on the live here. Right now, I am working on creating my offer. So I know that I'm going to be focusing on Christian men between the ages of 30 to 60 years old in the Riverside area, specifically around the Van Buren exit. So that's going to be the Alessandro Heights. It's going to be Woodcrest, Orangecrest. Yeah, that area. So I'm looking at my offer here. We need to go to a couple of things here. The first is I'm using this document sort of as a rough outline for creating my offer. So we come down here. The first section is who it's for. So the first section, who is for, right? It's Christian men. I know that, right? Christian men. I know they're 30 to, we'll say 30 to 50 years old. It's a pretty good range. Yeah, 30 to 50 year olds are probably fathers just because of their age, and they're probably also husbands. They're also going to be career men who are pretty decently far into their career, or they have their own business. So they make quite a bit of money. So they're going to be making $100,000 in net income per year just by themselves. So their household may have more money, but they themselves make $100,000 plus. We'll start there. And yeah, it pretty much sums up the demographic. So we could also say that they're a little bit overweight. So they're overweight. They're out of shape. Okay. And basically Christian men who, they're people who are high performing in their career, in their relationships, in their church environment, in their community. However, so let's just write that down first, high performing. However, health and fitness has kind of taken a back burner. It's taken the back burner in their life. And so what we want to do is we want to take health and fitness, we want to take that off of their plate, and we want to have them outsource their health and fitness to us, so that we are the one, so I'm the one thinking about what your workout plan is, what you're going to do, tracking and logging that, making sure we're keeping your calories and your macros and your micronutrients in check, looking at your blood work, looking at your sleep, all those different things, and me being the one who's in charge of all that, tracking all that, and then just showing you and walking these men through what's the game plan, right? Because they're high performing, so they don't have time to be thinking about, oh man, okay, what macros do I need to get, or how many calories should I be eating, or man, what workout should I have, or oh man, is it time to progress in my workout, or man, why am I not progressing, right? Or oh gosh, okay, man, I didn't work out yesterday, so I'm gonna have to work out tomorrow. Oh man, okay, I messed up again on food. They don't need to be thinking about that, and so that's where I come in. Okay, so they have just I'm gonna put here, put health. They have put health on the back burner. We see also that they're low energy. So they're high performing, they're go, but they feel stressed, right? Low energy, but they have to keep going, of course. What are some other things? What do they actually want? So we can explore some of that. What do they want, right? They want to be strong leaders. They want to be seen as disciplined. They want to be respected. Husbands and fathers. Okay, there's a few things that we've got written down here on this whiteboard here that I have written down about what we just talked about. Okay, so I'm just gonna type that into a Google Doc over here. So let me grab this. Add this to a new page. Okay. Okay. So this is version 1. So the first one was who this is for. This is for, and what do we have? We had some things like a Christian man. They are 30 to 50 years old, probably a father, probably a husband. They make $100,000 plus in net annual income. So that means they're career professionals. They are or business owners, and I want to be super specific that they're not men who are constantly like on their feet all day or they're doing manual labor. So no manual labor people. So that means also that they are office workers. And I just want to clarify that means no manual labor workers. So these are going to be white collar workers, people who are working in an office environment. They are like a high up manager, they're an executive, they're in sales, things like that. Okay. Also, they're going to be overweight. They're going to be out of shape. And let's put some of the things that they also are, which we put down that they're high performing. So high performers. They just put health on the back burner. They have low energy. They're stressed from work. And this low energy, that might mean a lot of things. It might mean that they don't have energy to show up for their kids in the way that they want. It might mean that they have, because they're a little bit overweight and they're out of shape and they're low energy, because their metabolism is kind of down. They have low libido, so the sex life isn't as good as they would want it to be. So that has a lot of psychological effects when you're looking into the mirror and you don't like what you see. And then performance-wise, at least in the bedroom, let's say, bedroom performance is lacking because you're low energy, you're overweight, and you're out of shape. So you can't really do the things that you want to do, and that affects you as a man, your confidence when you're lacking in the bedroom. So those are all things that we want to change. Okay, so we have that stressed. Who do they want to be? Okay, so we can put a space here. Who do they want to be? Okay, who they want to be. We know they want to be strong leaders, which we know they already kind of are strong leaders, but we want them to be strong leaders in health. We also know that they want to be disciplined. Okay, they want to have control of themselves. So I should also put that, right? They want to have self-control and not have something like donuts, cookies, ice cream, things like that control them. They also don't want to be lazy in terms of, they know they need to work out but they're not working out. And they also want to be someone where, because the whole point of this is executive performance. So it's to help them go from poor or average health to exceptional health, so that they can increase their focus, they can increase their performance in the workplace, which is going to allow them to create a bigger impact financially, and in their relationships and in the community, because they're going to have more energy, going to have more power. So we know they also want to be respected husband and father, and so they, obviously their family probably already respects them. However, there's just like small, not even small, they're big things where if you're someone who's high performance in this area, but you're lacking in terms of your health and self-control and discipline in terms of the flesh, those things are all, your children see that, your spouse sees that, your other family members see that, people around you see that. And when they see that you're undisciplined with your flesh, that does have an impact on them. And so imagine your kids growing up and they see you being disciplined and having self-control with your flesh, and they see that in their father. It's like, wow, okay, they're going to respect that in a different way than they respect you if you're, providing for the family and producing lots of income. Those are different types of respect, and it's going to give them the good habits, and it's going to give them a good role model to do the same in their life so that they have healthy habits. So all of this, it's not just about, this man as an individual. It's really about, okay, this man, which we're going to give this man a name actually. Let's give him a name right now. We're going to call him, let's see, call him James Smith. Okay, so James Smith, his children are going to see him, and when his children are growing up, they're either going to see James Smith, their father, be someone who is has really poor discipline and really poor self-control in terms of the flesh. So in terms of exercising, eating healthy, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, they're going to see that, and that's going to affect them growing up and the habits they have. And then also, your wife, right? The wife of James Smith, let's call her Lucy Smith or something, okay? Lucy Smith is going to look at her husband, and all those things are going to affect her, that her husband isn't disciplined with the flesh. He doesn't have self-control over cookies or anything like that, right? He's not taking care of his body. And so we want him to be able to take care of his body, be a good steward of his body, his physical health and his mental health, his whole body as a whole, take care of his health and his fitness, so that he can then impact his wife. So she's going to see him do that, which is going to make her want to start doing those things. So now she's living healthy, and he can't tell her to be healthy if he's not healthy. It's also going to have an impact on his children, so that's going to affect their whole life. And then it's going to affect the people around him in the workplace. People are going to start seeing James Smith and saying, wow, you've lost a lot of weight, you're really in shape, wow, you're looking really good, you're eating really healthy, you're really disciplined, you have lots of self-control. Wow, okay, that's going to have an impact on the workplace. It's also going to boost his confidence, increase his performance and his focus through the eating healthy. Because if you're eating junk food or not really eating much at all, you're not going to have very high focus as much as you could. You're not going to perform as well. You're not going to feel as good, okay? And if your body is out of whack and you're out of shape and overweight, you're not going to feel good, and you're not going to look good. You're not going to have the confidence that you could have. And so what it's also going to do is the impact is much larger than just James Smith. When James Smith, when he gets in shape, when he loses the fat, when he gets the high energy, when he gets the high focus, when he's protecting what he's putting into his body, not just with food and drink, but also what he's putting into his mind, okay? Because this program is about how to, as a whole with health and fitness, get this man to the next level so his performance can increase, and therefore his finances can increase, his relationships can be better, and the impact that he has can be more. And so it's not just the food you're eating or the water you're drinking or whatever. It's also, what are you watching, right? What TV shows, movies, all that. What are you watching? What are you consuming? All of that comes into play here, okay? So we want to continue here. So who they want to be: strong leaders in health, disciplined, self-control. They want to be respected husbands and fathers. They want to be role model to wife, kids, co-workers, employees if they're a business owner, church members, a community. Okay. Who else do they want to be? They want to be someone who proud to be themselves. Okay. They want to be proud to be themselves. They want to look at themselves and be like, wow, okay, I put in the work, and look at who I've become. Okay. So they want to be good kings and priests of their home. So the reason why I like starting with physical health at the beginning is because when you get your physical health into check, a lot of other things start to flow out of that. When you're doing certain things, like you're practicing discipline and stewardship of your physical body and your mental health, then you get to see other benefits. You get to see spiritual benefits. You get to see financial benefits. You get to see relationship benefits. And that all comes through doing these practices of becoming a better version of yourself And there's several principles that are in play here. One of the biggest principles is self-control, right? Being able to say no to things, uh, and being able to say no to people, being able to say no to things, being able to say no to thoughts, say no to food, all of that. So it's one of the big things that we work on in this program is self-control. So let's continue here. Let's move back to this first page, and we're looking at going down here, the problem, right, which we kind of listed that in who they are, right? The problem is they have low energy, they're overweight, right? Poor consistency, stress, lack of accountability, okay, all of that. So we can kind of take a couple of these back into here. Let me open a whole new tab. Okay, this way we can move more fluidly through this, okay? Okay, so moving back here, we are moving down. Okay, so section 2 being the problem. So we kind of listed some of those things in here: overweight, out of shape, right? Low energy, stressed, inconsistent. Okay, let's move down here. We have the next section is the promise. Okay, so I need to list my promise. Which is gonna be, what do they get? Okay, so the promise, so for me, right, I like developing relationships, and I believe that when you have, like, the only way you can really be super successful long term is if you develop relationships. And so I'm not just a random, oh, coach, you check in with your coach, blah blah blah, whatever. No, the goal here, the long term goal, is to be able to make it so that health and fitness is not just something that James Smith, these men do, but it's something that is part of their lifestyle. So it's literally a part of them, and not just something that they have on their calendar that they just kind of do. No, it's a part of them, because we want to make lifestyle changes. It's not about, oh, hey, let's do 2 workouts a week, and then after 12 weeks, we're done. And during that time, let's have you on a meal plan, and then after 12 weeks, you're done. No, it's like, we're gonna make sustainable changes that you can integrate into your lifestyle so that they become part of you, so that you can do them for the long term, so that you can do them for the rest of your life. If you are someone who is, doesn't want to work out 5 days a week, that's fine. If you only want to work out 1 day a week, let's make it where you can work out 1 day a week for the rest of your life, instead of just for 3 months, right? If you really can't give up ice cream because you love ice cream, okay, that's fine. Let's figure out how we can move around your macros and get you to eat healthy, so that you can do it for the rest of your life and not just during this program. So, so the promise here, it's gonna be a little vague right now. I'm gonna have to change it over time. However, the beginning of it right now is, go from, average health and fitness to exceptional health and fitness. Okay. Also, part of that promise is, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the promise. Go from average health and fitness to exceptional health and fitness. Okay, part of that promise though is, learn the systems to take control of your health. Okay, so you're going to learn the systems to take control of your health for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Okay, they're going to create, which is part of that previous one, learn the systems to take control of your health for the rest of your life. Going to create sustainable practices specialized to the individual. Okay, because this is not just a basic program where it's like, oh, okay, let's just kind of fit somebody in. No, so there's several things here which we're gonna get into sort of the next sections. So yeah, section 4, what you get. So let's put that into the next section. So what you get. What you get. This is exciting because there's some really cool things in here. So things that they get is they get blood work done. And so one of the big things, I think I learned this from Blair Enns, which I listened to him on the Future podcast with Chris Do. Blair Enns talks about, and several other people too, talk about stop speaking about the features so much and start talking more about the benefits. And so if you want to list the feature, you need to list the feature instead of saying, oh, you get blood work two times a year. Okay, but that doesn't really mean anything to anybody. It's just a random thing. And people aren't really buying the features, at least not men like this. Men like this, James Smith, he's not buying the feature. No, he wants to get in shape, he wants to lose 20 pounds, he wants to get in the best shape of his life, exceptional health, and he wants to have something that is not going to take a bunch of his time. He wants to have something that he doesn't have to add another big thing to his plate, and he doesn't want something complex. He wants it to be simple, and he wants something that he can do sustainably for the rest of his life. That's what he wants. He wants high energy. He wants to feel good. He wants to look good. He wants to perform high. He wants to be respected by his wife, by his kids, by his family members, by his church members, by his pastors, by his co-workers, by his employees. He wants to be, he wants to make God proud. He wants to be a good steward of his body. He wants to be a good, all those things. And so we need to say, I'm going to list the features here. I'm going to say the feature so that the benefit, okay? So blood work so that, the main point for doing the blood work is to, instead of just shooting in the dark, being like, oh, okay, like, you need to increase your movement, we need to do resistance training, a little bit of cardio, we need to do change your nutrition and hydration around, and we need to get your recovery, basically like sleep and rest in check, okay? Those are the main things in any sort of health and fitness sort of program, okay? However, we need to figure out, that's just kind of shooting in the dark. With blood work, it's one way that we can look inside the body and say, okay, your body is saying that, okay, it's really deficient in X, Y, and Z, and if you reverse that deficiency, okay, you're not going to have that low energy anymore. So it could be something like they have really low vitamin D, and that's been affecting them in their brain. And so let's say they've been really depressed. Okay, well, if your blood work is showing, hey, you have really, really low vitamin D, it's actually affecting that, and it's actually affecting some of your testosterone production, and so you have low T now, and so that's also going to be affecting you. Okay, well, let's go fix that problem. But if you don't get the blood done, then you're not going to know that, because we can't just be throwing some people on every random supplement that there is and vitamin that there is. Okay, so blood work so that we can pinpoint the actual problems and solve them instead of shooting in the dark. Okay? So doing blood work so that we can pinpoint the actual problems and solve them instead of shooting in the dark. Okay? So then another feature they would get is we're going to get life routine integration, which I don't really have a very good name for it yet, but life routine integration, which is basically just, it's several things. So one is we're going to go through what is because people have this idea of this all or nothing mentality, and people, most of the time, they construct their routines or their habits or their day. They construct it around what is a perfect day. So it's like, if everything works out perfectly, and if I feel amazing and I feel motivated, here's the things I'm going to do. That's not a very good approach because it doesn't work for most people, because for most people, their days aren't perfect like that, and most of the time, we don't feel like doing things. And so we need to basically, we need to take our meds. So when I say we need to take our meds, so it's MED. So M stands for minimum, E stands for effective, and D stands for dose. Minimum effective dose. Take your meds. So that means there's going to be things in movement, so with the MER method, so movement, intake, and recovery, okay? 3 stages that we're going to do every single day. For your movement, you need a minimum effective dose of movement per day. For your intake, which would be like nutrition, hydration, all those things, what you're putting in your mind, all that stuff, you need a minimum effective dose. And for recovery, that's like sleep, that's breath work, all those things, meditation, non-sleep deep rest, anything like that, okay? Or massages, relaxation, all that. You need a minimum effective dose for the day. There's also a minimum effective dose for the week, a minimum effective dose for the month, and so on. And so we want to go from the top and say, hey, this would be what's the perfect, not the perfect day, what's the perfect average day? So that means we're gonna construct your routines and what you're doing around the perfect average day. It's what's most likely to happen instead of what's the ideal day. And that way we can get a higher percentage of days that you actually succeed. And one of the big things there is we want to craft a minimum effective dose, and then we want to add a few more things in. So it might be, for example, that minimum effective dose for a new client who hasn't been like doing any working out, no movement really, is, hey, go for a 15-minute walk every day. That could be their minimum effective dose. However, we're also going to put in there, right, in their habits for them to do, we're going to have them do something like, what could be added on there? Do like 25 or 50 body weight squats. And that we're going to put as a bonus. So it's not required for the day, but it's a bonus. And that way, when they go through their days, they're going to hit their minimum effective dose for a much higher majority of their days, because we're not saying, okay, jump in 30 minutes to an hour of cardio every single day. You're saying go for a short 15-minute walk around the block. That's it, okay? You can make it 10 minutes. Something to get them moving more than they have previously. And they're going to hit that minimum effective dose way more times out of the week. And then when you add in the bonus, say, hey, if you do 50 body weight squats, that's a bonus. Now they feel good about themselves when they meet that extra bonus, but they don't feel bad if they don't accomplish it for the day. So moving on with the life routine integration, we are having what is the perfect average month, what's the perfect average week, and what's the perfect average day. Then we chunk that down even smaller and we say, what's the perfect average night? What's the perfect average afternoon? What is the perfect average morning? And that, because we want to be super intentional about each section of the day, each week, each month. Because if we're not intentional about what we want to do, then we're just going to do whatever we want to. And we want to have a very simple and structured plan for how we're going to live out our days. We don't want to just go off the top of our head and say, oh, well, I feel like working out, I guess I'll work out, and then you end up not working out for a week and you're upset that you didn't work out. Well, it's because you did not plan for this at all. So we go through that. So I'm going to put in here perfect average month, week, day, night, afternoon, and morning. What we also do is we put in these conditional statements of if then. So when we're constructing the perfect average month, week, day, night, afternoon, and morning, we look at if something happens, then this will happen. So for example, it might be if you go to bed at 9:30 p.m., then you wake up at 5:30 a.m. Might be something like that. So and then it means, okay, if you go to bed later than 9:30 a.m., then you wake up no later than 7, let's say. Okay, so that gives a little bit of leeway, a little bit of room for if the client, James Smith, if he stays up late or he's out going wherever, or something happens at home and he has to stay up later, he's not going to force himself to wake up at this early time and then be super groggy for the day and super tired and then have no good momentum, no motivation to continue on. So depending on the client, you're going to want to change that over time, because that might be at the start, but then you want to eventually make sure that they wake up at the same time every single morning, because it's actually really important, and go to bed at the same time every night. However, we need to take small steps towards our goal instead of just jumping straight in. So I'm gonna put in here if then conditional statements. Okay. The other thing with life routine integration is we go through the MER method, so movement, intake, and recovery, and we actually go to their home, and we look at and their workplace, and we look, okay, what are the things that are preventing you from having more movement in the day? What are the things that are preventing you from having good intake? What are the things that are preventing you from having good recovery? And let's change those things around. So for example, that might be something like in their home, let's say recovery, right? Let's say that they, in their window, like previously me and my wife, our bedroom window, we didn't have like a blinds or a shade or anything up there. And so at nighttime, the street lamp just shined into our room. So for me, that was not good, and it's not good for anybody, but just having that light, it reduces the quality of sleep you're gonna get. The other thing is we had a light, sort of a sunlight lamp type thing that we changed the color on, and we had it, a low light setting, so that in the middle of the night, with my son, my wife could wake up and feed our son, because he's like 6 months. However, the problem with that is there's constant light in the room, which again is gonna hurt your sleep quality. And so that had to be a conversation that we talked about, and then now we turn it off every night, and now we sleep. Now we also have shades in our room, and so it's pretty dark in our room. And sometimes I'll still sleep with like a beanie over my head and just pull it over my eyes. So it's super dark, okay? And that just by itself has been a huge improvement in my sleep quality, okay? Because you're not like being woken up by light, okay? So, yeah, that's one thing as we, right, we're gonna go into home and workplace to look for hindrances to MER and what to change. Okay, so that could also be, let's say, in their workplace. In their workplace, let's say, somebody brings in donuts every Friday. Okay, well, now that you know that, you can just tell them, hey, here's the if then, right? If it's Friday, they're gonna bring in donuts. So if it's Friday, then eat a larger breakfast. Because if you eat a larger breakfast, and then you might not be as hungry to eat that donut. But if you don't eat breakfast and they bring donuts in, what are you gonna do? You're gonna eat the donut, okay? Because I've done that many times. When I was hungry and didn't have any food, I would just grab something quick or grab something unhealthy like fast food or one of the donuts or getting, pizza or whatever. And so if we can fix that, and we can look at, okay, what is causing the habit that we don't want? So for me, it was every single Friday after work, I would go and I would stop at the local donut shop, and I would get like 6 to 7 apple fritters, and they're called bear claws. They look like a bear's foot. Big donuts packed into the box. Box can't even shut properly. I put them in a plastic bag. I'd sneak inside the house. Right, look around, make sure no one was home, sneak inside, go up to my room, eat about 3 of them, then be so sick to my stomach and so disgusted with myself, I would put them back in the trash bag, sneak outside to the trash can, put it in the trash can, sneak back inside, go up to my room, and just be disgusted with myself. And yet I would do it Friday after Friday after Friday. Why? It was because I wasn't eating a very good breakfast. I wasn't bringing lunch with me to work. And so then I was very hungry when I got off work. And so what I started to do is I started to bring a protein shake to work. And it had about 40 grams of protein or something. It was Huel. It's like a vegan protein meal replacement thing. Really great. Non-affiliated, okay? And I would bring that to work. I'd keep it in the fridge. And about, an hour before I left for home, I would take it out the fridge. I would drink the whole thing. And then that protein, it satiated me. So it made me not feel as hungry. So on the drive home, I'm not very hungry. So then I would just skip past the donut shop. And it allowed me to overcome that thing without using willpower. Because willpower, you only have so much of it. When you have all these things that you don't want to do and that you want to do, it's hard to use that willpower for everything because it just diminishes over time throughout the course of the day. So we're going to the home and workplace to look for hindrances to movement, intake, and recovery, and what to change. Okay? So that's the basics of life routine integration. We also help them have conversations. So have conversations with family about James Smith, health and fitness. Because sometimes a big hindrance can be that you want to make a change, but your family doesn't realize like how serious you are about it, and your family doesn't realize that they need to support you in that instead of making it harder for you. So, for example, this could be something where your wife loves baking cookies, and you love her cookies, but every time she makes cookies, you eat 10 of them in one sitting. And so now it's like, oh my gosh, you feel sick, you feel upset, right? It's horrible, right? You beat yourself up for it, and then you stop eating healthy for several days because you're like, well, what the heck? I already ate 10 cookies, so I might as well just eat more junk, right? The whole thing, right? And so we want to make sure that we talk to James Smith, his wife, and be like, hey, James Smith is very serious about making this health and fitness change, and so here's how you can support him. And make it so that it's an easy transition so that their whole family is supporting them and their whole family knows about it. And with that simple conversation, what can happen is the whole family will start to become more healthy. And so not only are you impacting James Smith, but you're also impacting his whole entire family. So very awesome thing, okay? Very important thing to do, something that is missed out on a lot, okay? Also going to get actual training sessions. Okay, so this is just really like training. Well, it's not regular training, but training sessions. So going in there, doing workouts. Okay, it's not a ton of them because we want to integrate this in the lifestyle and make it so that they can do it on their own as well. However, there's times when we need to coach them properly on, okay, they want to do something like they want to learn how to squat really well. And we want them to squat because that's going to increase their performance. It's going to increase their muscle gain. It's going to increase their mental resilience because we're going to hit them hard on the legs. So we need to be there occasionally to do things like walk them through it properly and to push them harder than they normally push themselves. My beard looks a little lopsided. That's okay. Wow, that is a beautiful golden hour right there. Woo! Okay, so also things like we need to make sure that they're not injuring themselves. If they have some sort of injury, we need to help coach them through that and show them some different movements that they can do to overcome the injury. So occasionally, we need to do assessments and reassessments to see how they've progressed. We need to do things like weigh-ins, right, to check body fat, muscle mass, all those things. So those are important in the training sessions. We also have regular coaching sessions. Now, keep in mind these are high-performing men. And so they're very busy, right? A lot of their time is spent at work with family or at church because these are Christian men. And so we need to be aware of they are very busy, very low on time. And so we want these things to be relatively short, the coaching sessions. We want them to be high impact. We're going to want to focus on basically, we do like a weekly review type thing, very, very short, like 15 minutes at the end of the week. And we're just looking at, hey, here's the homework basically you had for the week. This previous week, here's the things that you were supposed to work on. How did you do? What did you do good? What did you not do good on? Okay, so what did you do good? What do you need to work on? And then for the following week, here's what you're going to work on again. So those three things, okay? For this previous week, what did you do good? What did you not do so good on? So what was a struggle? So what did you do good on? What was the struggle? And then for next week, what are you going to work on? Very quick, just recapping, reviewing, checking in with them, making sure they're okay, seeing if there's anything that's popping up that's a hindrance. Maybe they said, hey, right, you told me that I need to eat a little bit more protein, but man, it just was really hard to be able to get the protein goal in because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe it was they went on a business trip, okay? That's a perfect opportunity to say, hey, totally okay, right? This doesn't throw us on track, we're perfectly okay. I'm going to address that. I'm going to send you some information and show you, so for the next time you go on a business trip, you're going to know exactly what to do in order to be able to get your eat your macros, calories, and be able to work out on your business trips. Okay, so if you're not asking these questions, you're not going to know what their struggles are, and if you don't know their struggles, those struggles are going to compound. They're just going to build up struggle after struggle after struggle and make it so that they are not successful. And so we need to ask what went well, what didn't go well, what was the struggle, and then we need to for the next week we need to encourage them, right, with uplifting words, and then say, hey, here's what you're going to focus on for this week. We want it to be simple and super clear, right? If it's not clear and confusing, they're just not going to do it. So it needs to be simple and it needs to be clear. So you need to ask them, hey, do you have any questions about this, what this means, or what you have to do? Okay? So the coaching sessions as well. What else is included? Some different things that I really want to include is we're going to have some meal plans. So we have meal plans in there, of course. We have, of course, like workout plans, right? Just regular stuff that you would have in a normal program. Okay. We're also going to have, that's most of what I can think of right now. Actually, we're going to have some actual like meals that we give them occasionally, things like that. So I'm gonna put here gifts because we're gonna give them some different gifts. Okay, so let's move on to the next section. I gotta leave pretty soon actually, so let's keep moving on. Let's put some of the things here. Oh, okay, like that. So, okay, that's important to put in. So I'll put this under coaching sessions. So weekly review. We're also gonna get it's one-on-one. They also are getting habit building. They're getting, what else did I have in here? They're getting accountability. What else? They're also gonna get, so they're not gonna get 24/7 access. They're gonna get a lot of access though. So I'm just gonna say daily access for questions. Okay, so if we come back up here, right, what I had originally said was we're gonna list a feature and then say so that benefit. Okay, I kind of just went crazy with it, so I didn't add that in yet. So I'm gonna say training sessions so that can make consistent progress and address issues if they come up. Okay. We have coaching sessions. So the coaching sessions so that we again can address struggles and come up with solutions. This is also to educate so they can sustain this for life. Okay, the weekly review so that we can recap homework for a week and homework for a week, identify and solve struggles, and assign homework for following week. Okay, one-on-one, so that it is personal, habit building, so that change actually occurs. Accountability, so that when motivation is low, they keep going. Daily access for questions to quickly solve struggles, meal plans, so that they have a structured approach to eating, workout plans, so they have a structured plan to track and progress. We have gifts, so that this is an experience they have not gotten anywhere else. So one of the word seduction, at least the definition that I have for it, which is very close to the actual definition, is seduction is just providing somebody with an experience they've never had before. That's what it is. Because if you have an experience that you've never had before, you're going to like that person a lot. And so we want people to trust us. And so I want James Smith to trust me, because I'm helping him live the best possible life he can. And he needs to trust me to be able to do that. And trust is made up of two things. The first is likability. So you need to have a good laugh. Okay? You need to be likable. Okay? Show who you are. Show that you're a real human being. The second part is competency. So you need to show that you actually know what you're talking about, and you can actually get the results that James Smith wants. So likability and competency. Okay? And one of the big things is I want to supply gifts so that he can get an experience he's never had before. And give me 1 second. Okay, looks like that's gonna have to end it right now. I'll continue to work on it a bit later, but this is just going over version 1 of the offer for James Smith, who, just recap, he's a Christian man, 30 to 50 years old, father, husband, makes $100,000 plus in annual income. He's either a career professional or a business owner, probably like an office worker type thing, no manual labor workers, okay? So a manager, executive, things like that. He's overweight, out of shape. He's a high performer, right? He's put health on the back burner, but he wants to take it serious because he realizes that he has low energy, he's stressed out, he's inconsistent, and he wants to be able to be there for his children, be there for his wife, wants to be a role model, he wants to be a strong leader, he wants to be disciplined, have self-control, wants to be respected, he wants to be a role model, he wants to be proud to be himself, he wants to look in the mirror and look good, also feel good. He wants to make God proud and be a good steward of his body and his health and what God has given him. And he wants to be a good king and priest of his home. Okay? So we'll continue on at a later date.